for staying with us. And this morning, just like I said, we will, continue with the conversation we started a few weeks ago, last week to be precise, that has to do with seeming rivalry and some things that many elders in Yoruba land are seeing that maybe is avoidable, or maybe there are even bigger issues to deal with by traditional rulers, by paramount rulers, as they call themselves, than the issue of respect, ego, and all of those. You remember last week, especially in your state, what happened with the handshake saga, where the Alaafin of Oyo, His Royal Majesty, Kabiyesi to him, offer the handshake to the Olubadan of Ibadan, Ladoja, and in which it was seen as a snub. Both of them released statements to say it's nothing like that, but people saying you can, do a damage control, but we know what we saw. And even during the, pronouncement of the traditional, the Council of Oba's leadership, in which Governor Seyi Makinde said the Olubadan, according to consultation he made with his fathers, actually is now in that rotation arrangement, the chairman of the Oba's Council and Traditional Rulers in Oyo State, in which it seems the Alaafin of Oyo is not pleased with that. And you remember the Alaafin versus Oni saga, all of those things. And some are saying each item we did away with these things. And this is part of the focus this morning, where a son of the Yoruba land has waded into the matter. That you know him, Sunday Igboho, popularly called Sunday Igboho. He's a Yoruba nation activist and has called on the Alaafin of Oyo, Akim Abimbola Owode, and the Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Rashida Adewale, to put aside their differences over positions and unite to confront the rising wave of insecurity and underdevelopment confronting Yoruba land. Igboho said it was unnecessary and counterproductive for two of the most prominent traditional rulers in the Southwest, whose tools are deeply rooted in the historical evolution of the Yoruba people, to dissipate energy on dispute over hierarchy and political relevance at a time when criminal elements have taken over forest and rural communities. And this, I want to quote part of what Sunday Igboho said. He said, why should our royal father dissipate energy and positions when bandits, terrorists, and other criminal elements have taken over our forests in the Southwest, considering the recent ignoble killings of guards in Old Oyo National Park and other parts of Oyo State? It is critical for traditional rulers, irrespective of hierarchy, to close ranks in protecting Yoruba territorial integrity against the ravaging insecurity, foster unity, and drive development in the collective interest of the Southwest. We have with us an Afenifere chieftain in the house, architect Goke Omigbodun, who, will make a submission on this matter. He's here with us in the studios. Architect, good to have you again. Good morning, sir.
Always my pleasure to be with you. Good morning.
Thank you. And this is Sunday Igboho's position, saying, ABCs, please, there are bigger, more important things to handle, according to him, and inciting insecurity. And, Sunday Igboho, for who he is, he has always been an advocate of, having a safe Yoruba land, in which he calls Yoruba nation, and especially having strangers off our forest. So what happened at the Old Oyo National Park, the spate of abductions is not, not only happening in the north, it's happening almost everywhere, even in the south. And he's saying, Kabiyesi says, please, this ego and hierarchy thing, let it go down. We have bigger, fishes to fry. Is that the position for you, or the two can coexist?
I am in absolute agreement with Sunday Igboho, because what he has spoken is very good sense. And honestly, what is the essence of Imiju or Iwo Ojumi when an outsider comes and overruns all of you, and then you can therefore be fighting for your hierarchies under their general domination or dominion? So there is nothing to add, honestly. I absolutely agree with Sunday Igboho on this one.
All right. Can we really say there is a tension between the Alaafin and the Olubadan?
Isn't that obvious, whatever either of them may choose to say? And isn't it also obvious that for certain reasons, myself inclusive, most people would think it was perhaps uncharitable of the Alaafin and a little bit disrespectful for the age and hitherto status of Rashida Adewolu-Ladoja, even before he became the Olubadan of Ibadan. You remember this man had been a governor. Look, let's tell ourselves home truth. Today in Nigeria, traditional institutions are being controlled by local governments. And Ladoja was governor of Oyo State, superintending over so many local government chairmen. So when you now become an Olubadan, forget about the fact that Ladoja himself became Olubadan, and Olubadan, an Alaafin or anybody, you are subject to one of those that had been subject to the governor. The governor is your common employer. That is the truth of the matter, because the cheese has moved. Things have changed. And if you check history very well, I am sure in the thoughts of the Olubadan, he will tell you that Ibadan was never part of the Oyo Empire. Ibadan was never part of the Oyo Empire because Ibadan did not even exist when the Oyo Empire was. The Oyo Empire collapsed in the late 1790s and early 1800s. Ibadan was not established until about 1820, and Ibadan was established by some of those warriors from Oyo, warriors from Ife, warriors from Ijebu, and that location where Ibadan is today, according to certain traditions, this now some people may wish to debate about, that geographical terrain that Ibadan occupies today was never part of the terrain that the Oyo Empire, even at its height, stretched to. So where is it now that an Alaafin will think he has dominion over an Olubadan? If he tries it with the Shon, well, it's okay. If he tries it even with the Atauja, well, maybe it's okay. But not with any Ijebu Oba, not with the Oni of Ife, not with the Olubadan, because the Empire of Oyo never reached all those places. But even if it did, let us also wake up to certain realities of today. We have democracy today, and there is nothing in the Constitution that guarantees any powers for our traditional rulers. We just respect them because as a collective, we choose to respect them. If we choose not to respect them as a collective, there is nothing they can do about it. And Oba cannot kill anybody anymore now. I have, with my two naked eyes, seen an Oba whose staff was taken from him and put in detention. I mean, so then what are we talking about? So Obas should therefore respect themselves. All those traditions of my great-grandfather and great-grandmother were the ones dominating this land. Then I ask questions. So can anybody still sit in Soch? That's the name of the city now, Shosh, somewhere in Iran, where Susa used to be, and say that I still want to dominate the world as the because my great-grandfathers were the rulers of the Medo-Persian Empire. Would you listen to that? Or somebody wake up now and sit in Alexandria in Egypt and say, well, we defeated the Medo-Persians. So from Alexandria, we want to control the world. How many people even know where Alexandria is anymore now? Okay. But Alexandria had that great name in the time of Alexander the Great. Okay. Or can somebody sit in Rome now and say that the Roman Empire ruled the world and there was Pax Romana, everybody subjected to it? That is gone forever. There is somebody in the US now who can capture anybody. pick any of those kings, pack all their crowns, take them to the US, and even your presidents must not talk. Otherwise, it is by the pattern of his cap that you will recognize that he himself has been picked up. So things have changed. What rules the world now ordinarily should be democracy. Unfortunately, it is not. I'm not too happy about that. But the issue of dominion by tradition, by old empires is gone. So we expect the Alaafin of today to recognize and respect the age of the person who occupies. It is just by coincidence. If that man was younger, if the Olubadan was younger, perhaps because the way I was brought up, I respect older people. I will not be in any position. I don't know that position yet. Perhaps the highest position I may be entitled to as a citizen of Nigeria is to be president of Nigeria. And then I am president of Nigeria, and then one of my older brothers comes around and I'm sitting down. Who are you? What do you think you're doing? I think some of these things should be checked, and there should be mutual respect amongst the traditional rulers, so that we are not amongst them can also extend such regard and respect to them.
Right. You know, a part of what he said again, that's Sunday Adeyemo, or Sunday Igboho, is traditional rulers should continue to be agents of cohesion, harmony, and economic growth. When your subjects, most especially farmers in rural communities, are being gruesomely murdered, it is not ideal to promote dispute over positions, and he maintained that old empires in Yoruba land have given way to modern traditional institutions without distorting historical facts, urging royal fathers to write above rivalry and personal interest in order to safeguard the future of the Yoruba race. Now, in fact, some will say, maybe loosely, that even an Alaafin, you know, or an Olubadan, or any Oba for that matter, you know, draws the salary from the local government. Actually, in fact, by virtue of constitution, they are even under the local government chairman.
That's exactly what I've just said.
Whatever empire anybody is expanding, or, you know, talking about the hierarchy right now, that, you know, it's just about architect. Do you think, now, talking about, you will have that, Sunday Igboho.
Yes. Because
for him, I think he's not, he doesn't cut any of these Yoruba Obas the slack about this hierarchy thing. His own is, let the Yoruba land be safe. But do you think the Yoruba land, the geographical space, as we have now in all these 6 southern states, are we really under any pressure or security challenge as it may be right now?
Isn't that obvious? Isn't that obvious?
To the extent of this kind of emergency kind of intervention that Igboho is calling for.
Isn't that so much obvious to you, Femi? When you were speaking earlier on in this program about 5-10 minutes ago, you mentioned what happened at the Oyo National Park.
Yeah.
That's so recent. That's still earlier this year or late last year. I can't really remember. And we're just 19 or 21 days into the new year now. You still remember what happened in Owo, which is just around the bend from us. And the courts are still trying to find out. Only 2 weeks ago, they said those that were witnesses and that were victims should start identify some of those that were being tried. It's still a hot and fresh thing. You know all of those things that happened in Igboho, so close, right inside Osun State here, not even so close to us, right inside Osun State, and everything that has been happening in Kwara too. Yoruba land is under siege. And I dare say that I believe that not only is it under siege from external forces, there may be inside collaborators. You know, the Yorubas will say, "Biku ile oba pani, ode ole pani. Bi ogiri oba lanu, alangba ole wonu." This even relative skirmishes, misunderstandings between traditional rulers and communities, and you know, we still have so many of them all over. I don't want to mention them so that I don't wake them up from their slumber if we don't still have it too fresh anymore now. These are issues that should naturally die, and let us unite as a people. That Yoruba land is under siege is a well-known fact, because this is not about chemicals. It's something physical, what we have felt, what we have seen, what we have experienced, and what we are praying that we should no longer experience.
Well, let's speak to the recent issue that further, showed that there is a tension between these two ruling figures. Right here, it says, however, the inauguration was boycotted. I mean, a recent, okay, let me take it from here. Governor Seyi Makinde had last Thursday inaugurated the new Oyo State Council of Obas and Chiefs at the House of Chiefs Hall, Secretariat Ibadan, following the passage of the Oyo State Council of Obas and Chiefs. Further amendments, Bill 2025 by the State House of Assembly. The law provides for a permanent rotational chairmanship among the Olubadan, Alaafin, and Shoun of Ogbomoso. However, the inauguration was boycotted by the Alaafin of Oyo, while Obaladoja emerged as the inaugural chairman of the council for a 2-year term. The development has since generated controversy, with reports that the Alaafin is considering legal action over the process, which he allegedly claimed was carried out without adequate consultation. Let's talk about that consultation part. I mean, the governor did say that he consulted the 3 prominent kings in Oyo, the Shoun, the Olubadan, and the Alaafin. The Alaafin's palace issued a statement that nothing of such happened. There was no consultation. And then let's talk about the place of consultation there. You're a Yoruba elder yourself, and how do you see Yoruba land, attaining unity when the ruling figures in Yoruba land, some of the key figures there now, seem to be in disparity, especially at a close call? Ibadan is in Oyo State. Look at the 2 key rulers there.
Well, you see, we must recognize something. And until we come to the point of investigating what time the governor consulted which traditional ruler, that's when we may understand the issues at stake. Now, let me go into a little bit of history. This law, and by the way, let me quickly just dismiss something. Let the Alaafin go to any court. There's already a law. And you cannot go to court against a law that has been passed by the State House of Assembly and signed into law. He's going to lose gallantry.
On the grounds of inadequate consultation.
No, listen, I will address consultation, but I'm talking of the law, because the courts are not interested in consultations. The courts are interested in the law. And if the law says that Goke Omigbodun will be the next Alaafin of Oyo, nothing can stop it, except the same people that passed the law reverse it again. The law is the law. It's an ass. And except in a situation now where you have Supreme Court pronouncing issues against the law. That's another thing. I don't want to go into that. This, your local government autonomy, whatever, is against the Constitution. Giving the powers to a president to sack governors is against the Constitution. Section 188 is what the removal of governors is all about. But strictly speaking, if it is about the law, there is a law in Oyo State. In fact, there was as an effort under the Ajimobi administration, the one before Seyi Makinde, to get the House of Assembly to work on that law. They could not. But when Seyi Makinde became governor, things were put in motion. I don't know whether by him or by the House of Assembly themselves, and eventually they succeeded in passing the law, which was signed by the governor in August 2025. Now, I cannot exactly remember when the Alaafin became the Alaafin. It could have been, we can check the date, if you can quickly check the date for me. It's possible that even that law had been signed before the Alaafin was invested. This current one. For sure, I know one thing, that the law had been signed before the President Olubadan became. So the only 2 that we need to confirm is that when did the Shoun become Shoun? Please check ChatGPT for me. If he also did not become Shoun before August, and Alaafin did not become Alaafin before August 2025, then if the governor says, I consulted my 3 fathers, he didn't say my father Ladiji Ladoja. The stool of the Alaafin is the stool. It's a going stool. It stays, and whether anybody sits on it or not, that stool is the stool. So the Alaafin is the Alaafin, not necessarily Alaafin of Oyo. The Olubadan is the Olubadan, not necessarily the Olubadan Ladoja. The Shoun is the Shoun, not necessarily Shoun Gandhi Laoye. So let me quickly tell you a story that I remembered just now as I'm speaking. The very year that the immediate past Ataoja of Osogbo died, Oba Matomi, when they were going to have the Osun festival, I saw with my two naked eyes on television that they put, there was no Kabiyesi and they needed to still do their rites. I saw how they put the crown of the Ataoja on a stool and all the chiefs prostrated to just a crown. Need I also remind you that they had this Israeli prime minister, I think it was Ariel Sharon, that was, I'm not too sure if he was the one, but I believe he's the one, who was in the ICU for a very long time. And whenever they were having the Knesset, the parliament of Israel, his seat was reserved. The acting prime minister sat somewhere else. And then somebody will say, we consulted prime minister of Israel. It is whoever was there at that point in time. So if Governor Seyi Makinde said he consulted the three fathers, it could have been those fathers before these ones. Because when did these ones come to be in any case? The law had been signed before at least one of them became the Olubadan. I don't know about the other two. And we can quickly check. Just check quickly, please, for me. Or do I need to check by myself?
Wow.
When was the Alaafin? When was the Alaafin?
Alaafin of Oyo, the 46th Alaafin was crowned on April 5, 2025.
Okay, just before the law was signed. So, but he was there, the law was signed. He now wants to go to court. Let him go. When was Shoun Gandhi Laoye?
We'll get to that.
Yeah. But the Olubadan was installed only recently, after that law had been signed.
So let's get to that. You spoke to the fact that the position now is the actual power. Yoruba believes that the position you're in, not your age, not your the status you brought, but the position that you're now occupying, especially with the throne, is what makes you the powerful person that you are, or what gives you that authority.
Did you hear what I said? Even without a human being, the crown
so now if
was revered by the chiefs of the Ataoja.
Now if you believe that, you talked about the fact that you talked about age, you know, in this context now.
Yes.
Alaafin Oyo and Oba Rashidi Ladoja Olubadan. In that case, if Yoruba still holds that belief, because even Igboho here stated that, according to him, while history and tradition must be respected, I mean, in history, isn't the Alaafin superior to the Olubadan?
Have I not said it?
You did say that.
There is nothing that says that the Alaafin is superior to the Olubadan that did not exist when Alaafin had all the powers. And the Olubadan came and has acquired all the powers. Now, let me ask you, why is the United Kingdom not more powerful than the United States of America? Who are those that created the powers of the United States of America? Did they not all come from Europe? And did they not displace all of the aborigines that they met there, the red Indians? So let Trump now speak and let the UK Prime Minister talk too much.
They're in different jurisdictions.
Exactly the same thing. The Olubadan is the Olubadan of Ibadan land. The Alaafin is the Alaafin of Oyo land, not Alaafin of Oyo.
So
state.
now let's widen and broaden that conversation now.
Yes.
I mean, before the Olubadan and the Alaafin saga, we witnessed the one between the Oni and the current Alaafin as well. Now, we had a particular analyst, a chief from Oyo, that was also saying, he talked about the fact that we should just have it in mind that the Alaafin is the political head, while the Oni is the spiritual head. What would you say to that?
Let me first also clarify something. The Ife land was never part of Oyo Empire.
Yes.
So the Oni is the Oni. But I want to run away from history for a little while and dwell on the person of the Oni Ogusi who is there today. That is one highly revered Oba. Why? Because he carries himself well. Maybe I'm wrong. I have not seen anybody who has been rude to the Oni. Maybe I've not seen. Maybe there is somewhere. Whom people will not say, shut up there, you know. Because Baba Oni himself, in spite of all that is invested in him, in tradition, when he's talking to you and you are older than him, he addresses you as Ebon. And he doesn't talk to you as O. We will say, Ebon, chair. And then you will also be say, Baba, chair. That is mutual respect. I therefore would not understand, but perhaps again, those that are around those kings, to also let them know that they are human beings at the end of the day. At the height of the powers of the Roman Empire, there was always a priest amongst those in his court. He was called the Augur. It was the Augur that will tell the Roman Empire, when everybody will say, long reign the emperor, he will say, but you are just a human being. And out of all those that will say, long reign the emperor, if the emperor needed to consult the gods, he will call the Augur. And whatever the Augur said was what the emperor will take. And if you now hear about people saying, oh, it won't augur well, it comes from that, the office of the Augur, the office of the priest. You must have some people who must be able to speak truth to power so that they understand that they are just human beings. So I appreciate, and I know a number of Kabiesis, especially of Oshun, when you greet them, because I have so many Kabiesis that are my fathers in Oshun, you know, and some of them we could have grown up together, but they are now my fathers. Some of them we could have done so many other things together when we were growing up. They are my fathers now. And when I still see them, I give them that respect of father. And when I say Kabiesi, they say Kabiesi Eledumare. You understand what I mean?
All right.
And let me also let you know, I'm a Reverend Canon of the Anglican Church. Many of the Kabiesis that also know me also give me that respect because they also respect the office of the priest. You understand what I mean? So right. Why will I not respect them if they show that much respect too? So respect begets respect. So all traditional rulers should learn to respect one another. All right. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough. But before we go on break and we switch to the other part of the conversation, you know, foremost writer and author Lasisi Olagunju wrote a piece yesterday on this matter. And you know, it's quite a long read, but very interesting actually. And in part of what he said, you know, definitely depth into history, culture, and all of those things. But, you know, while he was suggesting some, you know, maybe something that might work for the Alaafin, he said the new Alaafin has no excuse for making cheap and expensive mistake. And he said a professor, an history professor in Yoruba land, easily, according to him, Africa's preeminent historian and Yoruba patriot, Professor Toyin Falola, wrote a long piece of advice for the man Alaafin and entitled it Alaafin of Oyo and Yoruba Renaissance. And he said he's not sure if the Alaafin has read that particular piece, but if he hasn't, he should. If he had read it, he should read it again. And part of what Professor Falola wrote in that book was he must learn history. I can reveal to the new Alaafin that his immediate predecessor took time to understudy history. Alaafin Adeyemi's power of retentive memory was second to none. He had a memory arsenal covering almost 500 years. And Alaafin of Oyo must know history. The new Alaafin must not engage in historical revisionism, and his counterparts now do. Rewriting history is dangerous, as in saying the Benin Empire owes little to Ile-Ife and Oromiyan. Conflating Ugbo with Igbo as a wrong-footed interpretation. So what this Lasisi Olagunju was trying to say by, talking about the book by Professor Falola is to say maybe, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi took time, to study history, and he grew into that role. Can we also cut the Alaafin that slack? That with time, he will grow into that role. And, maybe this perceived pushy nature of getting respect everywhere might not be necessary. It will come naturally, maybe with time. Do you believe that?
Well, perhaps it would, but I can't ever remember, even as fresh as when he became Oni, that the present Oni of Ife did not have a little bit of history, which he consistently... I'm not a frequent visitor to the Oni. I can count on my fingertips when I have sat with him. But on those occasions, you will hear quality history, quality tradition. I used to be close to the former Baba Oni, very, very close to him. Oba Shijuade. And I marvel at the fact that the same history, and I used to also be close to Kabiyesi Oba Adesoji Aderemi, because my grandfather was one of his chiefs. My mother was very frequent in the palace. All the children of the then Oni were our family friends. We used to just play around I used to enter the bedroom of the Oni Adesoji Aderemi, So, and some of these stories too, that I had from Oni Adesoji Aderemi, that I had from my mother, that I had from my uncles, some of who are still alive in Ife. My mother was from Ife, so if you see me speak like this, I understand what I'm saying. Some of these same stories that I still had from Oba Shijuade, I still hear from the present Oni of Ife. So how come the present Oni of Ife has managed to study all those things? Listen, unfortunately I wish you had told me about this discussion.
Yeah.
You just told me a few minutes before I walked in here. I would have read that piece by Lasisi Olagunju, and I don't know how I missed his piece yesterday, because Lasisi is one of the most, if you don't know him, if you just see him and you say because he's our friend, he's our brother, he's one of the most brilliant writers of this generation.
Right.
And one more thing you must give Lasisi when it comes to the discussion about the Oni or the Olubadan is that the immediate past Alaafin, I mistakenly said Oni, the Alaafin, the immediate past Alaafin was very fond of Lasisi. Lasisi would be in anything that the Alaafin was doing. Alaafin would be in anything that Lasisi was doing. I witnessed, so I'm talking authoritatively. So I will not be surprised if Lasisi Olagunju would know that by first-hand experience, not by reading, that the Alaafin Oba Lamidi Adeyemi was a repository of history, tradition. I think I met Oba Lamidi Adeyemi maybe only twice or thrice. And each time he saw me, he would tell me stories about my father. Because once he heard my name, Iwoloma, and he would, so I know too from my just a few encounters with him that the man had history at his disposal. Who were those that made the history available to Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, the former Alaafin? Let them do the same for the present Oba Owade, so that he can grow up very quickly into the office and occupy it in a regal way that we will all give him all the respect that he deserves.
All right, fair enough. We take this quick break. When we return, in Kaduna, we talk about the state of the nation, where in Kaduna State, it's no more news that there was an abduction. There was a denial by the police and some stakeholders in Kaduna State. But it seems the police has recounted right now. The police said, give us the names or else the Christian Association of Nigeria, the northern region, you guys are lying. Now the name has been published. The police are saying something else. Where do we go from here? That will be after now. Stay with us.